All right, we're live. Will you start with your name and just your background?
I'm sorry, with name and what?
Background?
Uh, Name is Mike Buebe. Been doing welding for 20 years, machining for about five.
Okay, great.
And general metal crafts for probably about 20 also.
General what?
Metal crafts,
What is that? Metal what?
fabrication,
Oh,
bending,
okay.
cutting, plasma cutter, stuff like that.
Um, okay, awesome. So I saw you had interest in working on the universal seater. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Will you talk more about your ideas for that?
I was looking at something that I would think that you could probably build mostly out of scrap and sheet metal, and I know the majority of the units, they use a gear drive that usually goes from the wheel into the seat hopper, and I was thinking probably more something along chain with gears instead of that to make it easier to build. That way, if you have problems with it later, the gears, chain gears, are a lot easier to get access to than the standard hobbled gears the majority of the units use. And the
Okay.
setup would basically be look like the standard kind they have. It'll just be something that'll be relatively simple. A lot of them use special plates for seat sizes and distance on spacing, and just use a standard round disc that would have holes drilled in it. Where if you had a special seating requirement, that you could drill those yourself.
And just replace that for have different sheets for different seeds.
Yes, yes. And the other thing option is when you go with the chain and gears, you could also change your feed rate or your seed rates from going from 12 to 18 inches, changing it with the gears and chain just as easily as you could with the plates. So if you had a plate that did beet seeds and it was set up to do 1 every 12 inches, you could change one of the gears and go every 18 inches.
Okay. Wow.
Because usually you have to get in and do the plates. You usually have to get on the inside of the mechanism to get in there and change the plates where the gears and the chain would be on the outside.
Okay. And this is something that is dragged behind the tractor.
That is correct. They make some units, they make some light, I guess I'd call them light commercial units that you can actually put wheels on and you can seed your own garden, or you can put there's a rig you can drop them into and then you can run them behind a tractor.
And it's powered by the movement of the wheels. Is that right?
That's correct. So when you hang it off the tracks, basically there's one wheel that comes in contact with the ground, and as it rolls, it's your tiny mechanism or your drive mechanism to move the seed plate.
Okay. Have we?
And what and
How?
what you have in front of that is you basically have a little mini plow that digs, and the seed drops in the center, and then behind it you basically have two plows that basically cover the dirt in behind it. And that's basically how the whole seeder works.
Okay. Have you started building the design yet?
Very little, but yes.
And why did you pick the cedar? Do you have experience with that, or did it just pop out because you know your skill set, or how did that
Just
happen?
just popped out to the project. The cheapest ones I've seen are $1,200, and I've got 40 acres. And I was interested in doing some of that, doing some crop room, but I'm not interested in paying the $1,200 to get
How
one of the cedars.
how cheap do you think we can get it?
My guesstimation is probably under 200.
Oh wow. All right, that's pretty enthusiastic. All right. Um,
Well, over the last year that I've been doing research, I've actually found there's a couple of units they got out there. I think the cheapest one I found $600.
yeah. Okay. I mean, in the long run, we're gonna have a induction furnace, and we'll be forging steel. I mean, maybe we can get it down even cheaper with converting scrap into. But you're saying this could be you can make this out of scrap metal, so maybe that would.
I would imagine once the design's down, I would imagine that most people, let me rephrase that people could make it with basically a drill, a vise, and some sheet metal pins from the ones that I've seen. That the hardest piece to make is basically the base that you're going to attach everything to. And once that would be made and welded, everything around it would be able to be, if you had a bar or something, then it would be something you could either make another one with a drill and a vise, drill the holes, the vise to go ahead and bend it at the angles it needs, but it would basically all be 8-inch strap metal, will be the 1.5 or 2 inches wide.
Okay. Do you have any drawings of this?
I can probably get you one. I've got some very rough drawings.
Okay, what is your interest in taking the project forward?
High interest. I would like to do it.
You'd like to do it, okay. So we'll start this project and you'll be the project manager. And that looks like, I think the process is, Martin likes to start with an analysis of existing ones and then get a design rationale going. Is that something
Okay.
that you'd be interested in doing?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do you want to send me over any drawings that you have? You said you have SolidWorks experience, so you might even be able to do CAD eventually. Not that that's a priority right now, but eventually you might even be able to do some CAD work for it.
Yes. In SolidWorks. I can do AutoCAD, but I think after doing some of the work in SolidWorks becomes much simpler than AutoCAD is.
Okay. This is excellent. What do you want to put together like a work plan, like a proposed process for how this will get done, and then if you need any kind of collaborative support at what points, you could let us know in that plan.
Okay, sure. And there's going to be one caveat here, and this is I know you want a potato planter to go along with it, or that it can actually plant potato.
Okay.
How strong are we on wanting that?
I can get back to you with an answer on that.
Okay, now there's another option. This unit, I have ordered one of the repair parts manuals off of one of the old potato planters, so until I get that, I'm not sure, exactly what they do and how they take it. But there is another option. They make a mechanism that the tobacco farmers use, and it's called a planter. And basically you have two people, you have two chairs that sit behind the deal, and it has wheels that come up, and they will take a plant that's been grown in a greenhouse for say a month or two, and they drop it in here, and this thing drops it in and basically does the same thing with a living plant already as the cedar does, but it's a different mechanism the way it drops it in and everything like that. And my suggestion would be is that they can allow the potato seed planter does not have to be in the same one. I would suggest going with this because that way it does a planter, which you can already do. So if you're in a climate that you have a short growing season, you can get a jump start.
Yeah.
By growing these, and then it plants it. And also, this unit, I think, could be very easily configured just to go ahead instead of dropping a plant in, dropping a potato, a section of potato in there and planting it the same way.
Uh-huh. So
That's just something to think about when y'all are discussing how y'all want the potato seed planter set up.
So you're recommending that we have two different designs, one for planting and one for seeds. Is that right?
I would say so because it gives you the ability to plant pre-grown plants. If y'all want to stay with the potato cedar to go along with the cedar, probably what we would have to do is we would probably have to have a large attachment that we would put on top of the cedar to make it to be able to plant the potato seeds.
So it'd be a planter attachment to the cedar.
That is correct. Because the way you run, because if I remember correctly, usually the potato seeds are usually almost an inch cube or bigger because you have to get one or two eyes in it. And the mechanism that you're going to have set up for the cedars, you're not going to be able to, in my opinion. Now, once we get into it, I may find out that it's not that big an operation, but you're really going with seeds that are probably smaller than an olive. 90% of all your seeds, then going to something that may be a cubic inch or bigger.
Yeah.
So it's just going to basically have to be something that you're going to have to set into it to be able to do the potato seed planting.
Okay, so normally in a planter, you were saying someone sits back there and they actually put the plant in the planter, and then it.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it. And I can send you a link to it. Basically, what I've only really seen them for is for tobacco planting, because I guess they plant all that up north when their growing season is so short. That's the way they can get the tobacco growing up north.
Yeah.
But it works with all plants.
That's great. Okay. Okay, so you're gonna throw together a work plan or like a map out how the development will take place, and then I'm gonna find out the answer to that question from Martin, and we'll just start the conversation from there. But yeah, we really appreciate having you on board. That's a great help.
Okay, fantastic.
So yeah, we'll be in touch soon. I'll look for your email and then I'll follow up with you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right.